The Newsday continues here on One News Now Business. I'm Diego Castro. Here are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate fronts. The economic team are wooing investors in the Middle East. They are currently holding a roadshow to encourage businessmen in the Middle East to explore investment opportunities in the Philippines, particularly those in infrastructure and the energy sector. During the economic briefing in Dubai Tuesday, Finance Secretary Jokno told potential investors that as an archipelago, there is a need for the Philippines to boost its digital connectivity. Jokno said the government also wants more foreign investments in the energy sector as it aims to transition to clean energy. Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Balisacan noted that the Philippines will need some $104 billion or around 5.8 trillion pesos worth of investment in the renewable energy sector to achieve its goal of having 50% renewable energy in its generation mix by 2040.
A more sustainable and resilient energy system will significantly drive the Philippines' socioeconomic transformation. The country will need more foreign direct investments in renewable energy. We are more open to business than ever before through our commitment to liberalize our economy, embrace competition, and promote innovation and competitiveness.
This roadshow actually started on Monday when Secretary Jokno and the rest of the economic team kicked off the UAE leg with a visit to Nasdaq in Dubai, where Jokno led the ringing of the bell to open the market. The economic team also held a meeting with UAE Minister of State for Foreign Trade, who expressed openness to forming trade partnerships with the Philippines in areas like food security, agriculture, and renewable energy. In the economic briefing yesterday, Jokno also took the time to promote the Maharlika Investment Fund.
These projects offer high rates of return and significant socioeconomic impact. We look forward to operationalizing the fund before the end of the year.
The ASEAN Plus 3 Macroeconomic Research Office, or AMRO, projects that the Philippines will not meet its economic growth target for 2023. In its latest report, the think tank trims its GDP growth forecast for the Philippines to 5.9% this year. That's lower than its previous 6.2% projection and below the government target of 6 to 7%. AMRO, though, kept its 6.5% growth forecast for 2024. The company flagged elevated inflation among risks to the country's growth outlook. Others include local supply shocks, an economic slowdown in major trading partners, and global financial market volatility. For now, the Bangko Sentral still expects inflation to fall within the 2 to 4% target range in the fourth quarter, barring supply shocks. Nevertheless, the central bank says it's ready to respond as necessary to any risks to inflation. President Bongbong Marcos presided over a sectoral meeting on the price cap for rice on Tuesday. Part of that meeting is the rollout of the cash assistance for affected rice retailers who are selling regular milled and well-milled rice at a loss. Marcos Jr. also ordered to expedite the distribution of livelihood assistance to affected rice farmers. Some retailers have been hesitating to sell rice because their costs are higher than the imposed price ceiling at 41 and 45 pesos. However, after the sectoral meeting at Malacanang, the president mentioned that they are seeing changes due to the assistance distribution.
The implementation and enforcement is going as well as we can expect. Parang nagkaroon naman ng effect na yung iba na ayaw magtinda muna ng kanilang bigas ay dahan-dahan lumalabas na dahil nakakasiguro sila na kahit papano meron silang matatanggap para kapalit doon sa kung malulugi sila dahil sa pagbili nila ng mataas na presyo at saka sa pabili nila sa ilalim ng price cap na ginawa natin.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. The Philippine government is eyeing to issue Islamic bonds known as sukuk bonds by the end of the year as the government scrambles to fund its budget deficit. This move will mark the country's first foray in the Islamic bond market. Sukuk bonds are certificates that represent a proportionate, undivided ownership interest in tangible assets or a mix of tangible assets and other types of assets. The source of income is not interest but the profits of the undertaking. According to National Treasurer Rosalia De Leon, the government is currently in discussions with potential underwriters regarding the specifics of the issuance. She believes that the optimal range is between 5 and 10 years for bond tenors in order to accommodate even small-scale investors. De Leon added that the issuance timing would require a 12-week preparatory lead time. So if needed, the issuance can be deferred up to the first quarter of next year. The government is looking to issue about $5 billion worth of bonds this year, along with another $1 billion for a sukuk structure bond if the 12-week timeline is met. Public and private stakeholders teamed up to provide free medical services in Ilocos Norte. The Metro Pacific Group joined the office of First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos for a medical mission in Lawag. Their Lab for All program provided free medical and dental consultations, lab services, and prescription medicines to residents in the area. The MVP Group also handed out generator sets and mobile water treatment plants to health centers in need.
Noon pa man ay talagang sinabi na ni Chairman MVP na health security ay isa po sa mga prioridad ng MVP Group of Companies. Gusto niya pong talagang tulungan, lalo na yung mga mahihirap o yung mga bayan, mga lugar, ang mga tao na nasa fringes of society, no? Mahirap sila makahanap ng doktor.
It's a big day for Apple enthusiasts as the company unveils a new generation of iPhones. While there are no new remarkable technological leaps in the new models, Apple makes a notable change in the iPhone 15s charging port. More on this report courtesy of the Associated Press.
In Europe, they forced the standard of USB-C. So Apple was going to have to do that for at least the European. But the decision, of course, was, well, if you're going to do it for Europe, you do it for the rest of the world, in which most of the world has already shifted over to USB-C. So this was just a natural progression. The spatial camera to allow you to the eventual 3D images, that's a great new feature. I would suspect that if you drill down a bit more, the most important thing was the new GPU. What I found interesting, though, and they didn't elaborate as much, but when you go to each one of the carriers, you're basically going to get it at least at $1,000 off based on your program. And consumers need to really be aware of going to their Verizon's, AT&T's, T-Mobile's, and being able to turn in an old phone and get at least $1,000 up to maybe $1,200 discount, so that the new iPhone is going to be marginal in the context of a cost.
And those are the top business stories of the hour. I'm Diego Castro. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News, all sides, all the time.